Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Chat with Ryan Frank. So glad that you are here. I am joined today with Kris Buckman, who I'll introduce to you momentarily. I want to thank you all for being here. If you're watching this today on Facebook or on YouTube or listening on the podcast, I want to thank you. I want to encourage you in the Lord to keep pushing on. I know these are crazy, crazy days, and it is easy to lose heart. It's easy to get discouraged, but don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Please take some time through the day today to spend some time with the Lord. Reflect on the good things that God is doing. Reflect on how God is showing up in your life today and how he showed up yesterday. God is still at work. Hey, thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing to serve kids and families so well. Love the coffee chat. We've been doing this for several months now, every day through this pandemic. I don't think any of us knew that it was going to last this long, but here we are. And I love doing these coffee chats with you. And I also love introducing you to some amazing people. Kris Buckman reached out to me by email several weeks ago and introduced herself. We jumped on the phone and super impressed with how the Lord is using her in Maryland and Delaware. She's part of the Baptist Convention. Works with the churches there in their children's ministries. Kris, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so y'all surviving this pandemic? Would you agree with me? These are crazy days.
It is. I kind of feel like we're in a straitjacket with duct tape on our mouth, and we're trying to pull off kids ministry.
Oh wow!
But yeah. We're doing it. I've seen some great things happening in our state. And online.
I love it. Kris, have you been in children's ministry your adult life or
Yeah, so I grew up in a little church in Mount Airy, Maryland, and was in kids ministry my whole life. Then kind of left the church when I was in college and got married, had my first son, and they didn't have anyone to teach preschool, his Sunday school class. So I stepped in and I never stepped back out. So I've been in kids ministry for about 18 years now, and in the same church. I've been serving in the same church for 18 years, and then stepped into the role at the Baptist Convention, which I love, absolutely love. I can't believe it's actually a thing to be able to do this. So we have over 500 churches in our convention, and I just get to touch base with them and encourage them and equip them and introduce them to new ideas and events and brainstorm with them. Although I'm supposed to be consulting, although I've never been through a pandemic myself. So we're all in it together.
Yep, totally. Now, Kris, working with 500 churches, that's a lot of churches. What would you, and I know you've only been in this role for how long?
Since February.
Since February. Okay. So maybe you may not know the answer to this question, but I wonder, do you have a pulse yet on these 500 churches and these children's ministry leaders that you work with? Any idea of like what the turnover in children's ministry leadership is like? Do you feel like of these 500 churches, the leaders have been there for a while? Have you already seen turnover? Is it too early to tell?
I think it might be a little bit too early to tell. Surprisingly, during this pandemic, I haven't seen people throw their hands up and walk away.
Okay.
I have seen lots of longevity, that people were there before I came on board and are still there now. And then I also just consulted with someone who just stepped into the position herself in March. And so trying to help her muddle through too. So it's a little bit of everything, but we do have some longevity.
Yeah, I love that. So Kris, I want to talk to you today because I know this is something that you've been thinking a lot on, not only in your own church, but as you help other churches, and that is fall events. You know, there are a few times of the year that are big times as kidmin leaders. I think summer's big for events. And then you've got fall. I mean, we've got this golden window of opportunity around harvest time, Halloween, to really do some creative outreach. But it's going to look a little different this fall, isn't it?
Yeah, we're like, in that straitjacket trying to do something, but we're just so limited, it feels like.
So what are you hearing that churches are doing, or what are some things that you have seen that churches are doing creatively?
I've seen a lot of creativity, and I kind of have put our heads together with some other children's ministry leaders to come up with some kind of out of the box ideas, some not so out of the box, but also
Yep.
just some ideas where you can take them up a notch. I know a lot of churches around us are doing outdoor family movie nights, which are great. They're a great option. But
Mhm.
you can take it up a notch. We had one at our church, and if you can find a local DJ, many of them have purchased a screen as they haven't been doing weddings and events. And so he came and set up an hour beforehand, and he did a ton of virtual, like socially distant games with kids and families. They had family dance offs, and we had purchased gift cards from local businesses to support them to give away. So just taking it up another
A
little
great
notch
idea.
instead of just having people come watch the movie and go home. You can still kind of take it up one level.
Yeah, and I like that idea of instead of, because those can't, I love family or outdoor movie nights, but it can kind of lull at the beginning as everybody gets there. They're setting up their chairs, waiting on the movie to start. Where if you have a DJ, it's going to just from the moment they get out of their car, you're setting that upbeat atmosphere, and the energy level would go up. Um, I think it's a wonderful idea. Wonderful idea.
Yeah, we kind of are the church where I'm in Maryland. We're in one of the strictest counties,
Okay.
so our hands are really tied. So we actually spray painted 10 by 10 squares on our lawn that
Mm,
were 6 feet apart, and families were assigned a square.
that's cool.
So they knew everything ahead of time. They brought their dinner with them. They sat and had dinner while their kids, danced and had a good time. We gave away some great prizes. But I think it's too, as with any events that we'll talk about, it's important to keep your goal in mind. Is your goal to reach families in the community? In that case, how are you going to intentionally share the gospel? I think that has to be intentional and in everything that you plan. So we had kind of, we're not even really allowed to hand out things to people. Like on Sunday mornings, our service is outside, and we're not even supposed to be handing out bulletins.
Okay.
Um, so we had created bags that were already in the squares for people when they arrived with a family devotion, and they had a glow in the dark gospel colors bracelet. So before the movie, and I kind of took the mic and shared the gospel briefly with the kids with the bracelet, and just something short, but still that was our goal. So you have to be intentional to work that in instead of
Yeah,
just,
that's smart. Really have a goal in mind instead of just doing a random event. Um, I think that's good. Give us another idea or two. You're great with these
um,
ideas.
Yeah, so we were looking for a fall event. We usually do trunk or treat. And our trunk or treat is not in our church parking lot. It's in the shopping center in the middle of town. And it draws
Okay.
a huge crowd, which obviously we can't do that this year. Um, so we kind of thought what we'd do would be a family bingo night in our parking lot where families were assigned a round table and they could become dressed in their costumes. We
Mm,
could have costume contests. They can bring their dinner, eat at their table, have all their bingo things at the table. And then we could do some fun prizes for costumes, and the kids still get to wear their costumes. And it could be a bingo night or a trivia night, but you're still socially distanced. They're kind of contained in their area. I have seen a lot online of people talking about the drive-through trunk or treats.
yes.
And I'm still trying to wrap my head. I think it's a wonderful idea, but like for us, we're really not supposed to hand things out.
Yeah.
And I just envision a lot of kids sitting in cars in a big traffic jam with their costumes on.
Uh-huh.
So I know for us, the way our parking lot's set up, it may not work, but for some churches, it may work well for them. Um, so for them and where they are and what their county is allowing, it could be a good event.
Yeah. And there are, if you go sometime, y'all that are watching or listening, go to kidsmatter.com. We are featuring on the homepage right now some our fall category of some downloads, and some folks from the Kidman community have shared some resources on how they have done some of these drive-in events. Go check those out. Forget the names of the products, but you'll see them right there on the homepage at kidsmatter.com. How many more ideas do you have? You have two more, Kris?
I do. Goodness, I have a list, but yeah, I
Do you
think
have a list? That's
I
right. You emailed.
do.
You got like 15 things,
I know.
don't you?
Well, I'll pull a couple of them out.
Okay. Let's do three more. Top three.
Okay.
Top three
Okay.
that are left.
So we usually in the spring at the end of our Sunday night kids program, we would do a
Yeah.
rocket launch. The kids missed it in the spring. So this is a great event that you could do now where you purchase build your own rocket kits. Families could drive in, pick up a kit, take them home, assemble them together, and then come back for launch day and stay socially distanced. And if cost is a factor, we usually have our congregation for $10, they can sponsor an astronaut. And they love giving the kid a chance to make a rocket.
So how'd you get that idea?
Well, we used to do Awana, and we would have a Grand Prix at the end of our Awana. And the kids kind of got tired of it. So we kind of came up with this idea of a rocket launch, and we found the kits on Amazon, and the kids absolutely love it.
Man, what a great idea.
And even if you do Awana and have a Grand Prix, we still have our track. That could be another fun activity that you could do outside or inside. If you still have the track, you could have the kits and families could drive in and pick up the kit and assemble the kit and decorate it at home and then show up for the Grand Prix event in the parking lot or inside.
Okay, I'm sharing that idea with my kids pastor at my church because I think you're right. I mean, that sounds fun to me now, but I think every kid, the idea of building some kind of a rocket and then coming back for launch day.
Yeah.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Are these kits expensive?
We found that by doing $10 per kid, it usually covers the cost of their rocket and if we did awards or anything like that.
Okay.
So it was great. It was fun.
I love it.
It's a good time. I know another fun thing is since the Olympics were canceled, you could have the fall 2020 Olympics at your church. Where you could have different stations set up with Olympic activities like the track and field events that don't require, kids touching each other, like the 50-yard dash and the javelin throw, and have them rotate to stations and then go full on out with the Olympic music outside and have medals and awards. And that's kind of a fun event where parents could drop their kids off to something and do that as well with them. Yeah, so that's a fun one. And one you might be familiar with could be like a drive-through car wash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Your church could do that in their parking lot if there's a few nice days left or if you're in the South somewhere. That's a great idea to get church members out to serve the community. Yeah,
just come through. We're going to wash your car. We got a few more minutes, so let's keep rolling with some of your ideas because you've got good ones.
Okay, so another one that I really love, and I've seen a lot of people already do a paint and praise night, but you could kind of take it a step further and have families come and work on an art project together. If you just hop online and Google like family handprint art, you'll come up with some really cool holiday artwork that's Christmas themed or Thanksgiving themed, all by using every family member's handprint. So again, they could be at a round table, they could come, they could have their dinner, and then they could clear the table and have all their art supplies out and create a nice family memory for the holidays.
That's a great idea. Great
And
idea.
any of those events that are family related, for us, that's our goal for those events is to bring their family together. And then at the end of the event, really try to empower families and give them a tool that they can use to disciple their children. That's our main goal for family events, is to really encourage them to disciple their children at home.
Yep. So fun. Two more.
So we had somebody in our convention that works in our office, and she did a virtual lock-in, which I kind of thought was neat. So it was kind of like all these ideas that we have and have been doing on Zoom combined into one big fat night. So she had dinner delivered to her kids. There was a t-shirt in the box. So it had a box full of items that they would need for the night. And they kind of did everything. They played some Zoom games. The pastor hopped in and gave a devotion. They ate dinner together. They did an origami craft together. They watched a movie together, and then just ended the night with, they had a little sleep mask in their kit, and that was kind of the end of the night. But it was a long event, and some of the kids got together and hopped online together at houses. But she said it was very successful. So it's kind of like a virtual lock-in for middle schoolers.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Where's where you get all these ideas?
I love Kidman Group, Facebook group. There's a plug for
There
you.
are a lot of ideas there, aren't there? There are.
Yeah, I think that when God was creating people, he double dipped the creativity brush when he made Kidman leaders,
I do too.
because they're just fascinating people.
They are. I love that. I love that. I think you're right. I think they are some of the most creative people on the planet with the biggest hearts. Kris, let me ask you this, kind of unrelated to this topic. And those were all super ideas. So you're finding yourself working at church, helping all these other churches in a community where there's a lot of restrictions and stuff. What are you doing to stay encouraged? Like, what are you doing to keep your chin up? What are you doing not to get bummed out, stressed out? What's that look like for you?
For me,
Choices are you making? Yeah.
I think it's just finding small victories throughout the day, and also just doing whatever I can do. And I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where I felt like throwing my hands up and being like, this is just pointless, especially during VBS season. I felt like we'd go full speed on a plan, and then the governor would make some announcements, and they all went out the window.
Exactly.
But just I don't know, just staying close to God, praying a lot, reading the Bible, finding encouragement with other children's ministry leaders has been huge for me. When I feel down, I feel like I'll get an email from another children's ministry leader who's got some great plans or great ideas, and I get revved up again. So, I think keeping in contact with each other too, and seeing other churches have victories and things go really well for them, and cheering them on kind of pumps you up too.
Yeah, I love it. Well, friends, it is Kris Buckman. Kris, thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
So many churches, and thank you for being a part of the I Love Kidman community. Thanks for reaching out to me. I want to stay connected with you and support you in what you're doing. You have an event coming up pretty soon, or did it already happen?
It's the 26th.
The 26th, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right around the corner. Are you free to share about that, or is that really just for the churches in your area?
No, I mean, I'm free to share about that.
Yeah.
We are, it's a Saturday morning Zoom conference, which right now is about as appealing as cheesecake dipped in mud, but
Pretty much. But
whatever.
Hey, it is,
We're going to go with it.
Yeah.
But we're mainly focusing on the mental state of our children as we start to regather, and really all the things they've gone through mentally in the past 6 months. They've experienced trauma in one form or another, whether it's seeing everybody wearing masks, having to wear a mask, seeing things that are happening in the news and on TV. And so I think when we start to regather our children back again, we may see some behaviors from kids that we weren't really used to seeing before, a lot of separation anxiety, some fear. So we're Kidman leaders, we're not psychologists. So what we've done is invited some psychologists to give us a little bit of insight and background information and some practical tips that we can use to offset some of those behaviors. And parents are seeking us out and saying, my child has a lot of anxiety about going into the store, or going back to school, or being away from me. What can I do? And, we're not psychologists. So getting some of those tips from some of the professionals are going to be handy to us and help us to serve our families in the best way that we can. So that's going to be our main focus for that conference next month.
How can people find out about that? What's the website?
They can go to bcmd.org.
Okay.
And click on the events page, and they'll find it there. The conference is called Renew.
So Andy will put that in the show notes, but it's BC for Baptist Convention, DM, Delaware, Maryland.
BCMD.
MD, okay. BCMD, we'll get that right on the show notes. .org, yeah. And the name of the event one more time is?
Renew.
Renew, what a good name. All right, Kris, thanks for joining me on the coffee chat.
Thank you for having me.
Stay in touch. Yes, keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. That was a great conversation. I hope that you got some great ideas to help you for the fall. Thank you, Kris, for joining me. Thank you all for being here today. Quick reminder that the Parenting in Coronaville workshop is now available at kidsmatter.com. Put a Z in Kids Matter, kidsmatter with a Z.com. This is a 1-hour training for you to share with all of the parents in your church to help them navigate these crazy days with their kids and their families at home. You'll find that at kidsmatter.com. Also, we've got brand new downloads, things to help you this fall. Make sure you check out when you go to kidsmatter.com, push the red shop button at the top and go to family discipleship, because we have some new downloads in that family discipleship category that you're not going to want to miss. And hey, hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. We will be back tomorrow at the same time, same place. Talk to you then.